Today, I'm going to be ranking every single Chapter 6 exclusive exotic. That includes the ones that released during Lawless, Super, and this season. So with that being said, we're going to start with... The first season to have an excessive amount of exotics was Lawless, and at number 11 we have the Lawless Slap Jug and the Slap Cannon. Overall, this is an extremely basic exotic and only really good for the slap. It's just a chug jug with more usage and probably the most situational item this entire season. I'm putting these items in the same spot because I don't think one is better than the other and or worse. I feel they are both very last choice when it comes to every other exotic that released during this season. At number 10 we have the Lawless Twin Fire Slap Shotgun. This shotgun doesn't really have anything of value apart from the slap effect you get from holding it. It does have the same amount of damage that a regular Twin Fire would do. The only upside it has is the auto reload on Tac Sprint, but in a loophole with much stronger exotics and even just regular guns, it's deemed useless. Overall, I think this is probably the most useless weapon in all of Lawless. At number 9, we have the Lawless Stink Rifle. Yes, the fart gun. This gun feels very situational. Like, I don't think I'm getting a lot of value out of the Stink Rifle, unless in zero build, someone is hiding in a car, or in build, someone is sitting in a box. I do enjoy the fact that it could be used to force someone out of position and change it up or expose them, but I never saw myself wanting or needing this, or even coming across it in a regular game. At number 8, we have the Lawless Final Mark Rifle. I actually had no clue this sniper was even in the game, which I think says a lot. I really do enjoy the fact that it has the marking effect on players hit by it and the increased damage to said player that is marked, but I don't really think this is much better than the Heavy Impact Tracking Rifle. But this is higher than the other two because of its marking ability. This, alongside the other tracking rifle, could actually be used in crucial moments to win fights or in a 1 versus 2, 3, or 4 in duos, trios, or squads. At number 7, we have the Lawless Heavy Impact Tracking Rifle. This sniper is better because it scans the general area of the person that was sniped. So if you have a team hiding in a house and you hit one through a window, for example, you can mark the entire team and understand the situation. So overall, I think this rifle has a much better use than the Final Mark, but still isn't that good, and I really wouldn't pick it up at all. At number 6, we have the Lawless Blink Pump and Dump. As someone that never really understood the hype for the pump and dump, and I think they're kind of buns, I don't really enjoy the Lawless one either. The blink effect is useless and never was good in the first place, so I don't really enjoy this one and don't have a lot of comments to make, but I can recognize they are better than the other items I named so far. At number 5, we have the Lawless Explosive Mammoth Pistol. Despite the Mammoth being probably one of the best weapons ever added to Fortnite, I think this is extremely similar to the normal Mammoth with the exception of the explosion with each shot. This is an amazing anti-car item, but the explosion radius is very small and doesn't really do much, especially in a season with shield bubbles. I think it's fairly useless with its gimmick, but overall, it's the Mammoth. Of course, it's going to be in the top 5. At number 4, we have the Lawless Rift Launcher. The last 4 are difficult for me to rank because they're all so good, but this one goes in the lowest out of the 4 because I think the Rocket Launcher is much better movement item than this, and this item promotes very annoying play styles where someone can just get an easy get out of jail free card, even though it does have a cooldown and only 2 charges. I hardly used it, but always hated going against it, but I can recognize its usefulness and how good it is. For example, with the rocket launcher, it's like a shockwave. You can beam someone out of the sky, but with this, they're gliding, they're farther away, they're harder to see and harder to hit. At number 3, we have the Lawless Trinity Rifle. One of the most powerful rifles I think I've ever seen in this game, and the damage with the unique spread is so good. But I don't think it will beat the Hollow Twister, only for the fact that it's not a red dot rifle, but still an extremely powerful rifle. At number 2, we have the Lawless Shockwave Rocket Launcher. Extremely good for movement and so fun to use. Probably the most used weapon for me all of Lawless. I enjoyed every second I had with this weapon and always landed Crime City for the chance that it had to spawn in the black market near it. I always loved the Shockwave Launcher, so this just being its predecessor makes me love it even more. And the combos you can do in the dunks with the shotguns just felt so amazing. It was such a satisfying weapon to use. At number 1, we have the Lawless Accelerant Hollow Twister. The Hollow Twister already dominating the AR pool. This one was no different in being extremely strong with it ramping up in speed while shooting. That made it an absolute laser. I don't have much to say apart from how strong it was and how good it felt to use. Getting those beams on people was just so satisfying. I honestly kind of miss it. This season, the exotics were given the unstable title and were only found after fighting the Spire bosses. There's about a handful of items, so this list should be short. At number 5, we have the unstable Thunderclap DMR. Your typical DMR, which no one likes, nor ever wants in a loot pool. But this DMR, every third shot had an explosion effect similar to the explosive mammoth, but this time, this weapon is just buns. You know, I don't really have a lot to say. The DMR is never anyone's first choice. Getting a normal DMR off spawn is just, will hardly win a fight unless the person is absolutely helpless. And a Thunderclap DMR with its bullet drop and the every third shot being an explosion, no one's gonna want that. That's absolutely useless and kind of takes up a spot in the loot pool. At number 4, we have the unstable bounce grenades. I never saw this item at all in game, but it does 40 damage, then does a silly little jump, and then does another 40. This I feel is more useful in builds rather than zero build, only because of the constant explosions, but for sure more useful than a DMR will ever be. At number 3, we have the unstable voltage burst pistol. The last 3 are all extremely good, and it's hard for me to put them in a top 3. The voltage pistol, like the normal burst pistol, is really good, and mixed with the shockwave effect on the first and last bullet makes it extremely good for fights and quick movement or readjustments. You can use it to force people out of spots or to move to a spot quickly. So I really did enjoy this pistol, and sometimes I thought it would be necessary to be able to get to places quicker, especially in a season with a lot of mobility items and cars. You could fling the cars around. At number 2, we had the unstable yoink shotgun. The shotgun having the ability to pull back players when you hit them is such a funny concept, especially in the situation when they try running into a car and you just pull them back twice. My only gripe with this shotgun is the fact it's a double barrel, but that makes sense since it would be busted if it was a regular shotgun. But I think this gun has a super fun gimmick and is super good against ratty players. And you know me, I hate ratty players. At number 1, we had the unstable Frostfire shotgun. This unstable is by far my favorite due to the fact you are rewarded for hitting your shots. The person you're fighting is either hindered or you get a buff. They are either slowed or you are faster. Either way, unless you're ass, you win the fight. The gimmick with this shotgun is so fun and I love it so much. I wish more guns, especially shotguns, had more sillier gimmicks like this with the exotics rather than the typical AR or sniper, etc. But I really do like this shotgun gimmick. With this season just releasing, I'm not going to cover the exotics that aren't in the loot pool, that being the exotic shockwave launcher, Fury hop rock rifle, and a few others. So only the ones that are in the loot pool, and there's about 4 of them. At number 4, we have the exotic slap berry fizz. Serving the same purpose that the slap items from Lawless did, this one is in the same realm apart from the additional low gravity effect you also receive. So there are more windows of opportunities with what you can do, but overall kind of a meh item. At number 3, we have Double Trouble. Hot take, but I feel as if these are kind of useless and you are better off just using a record revolver and a normal shotgun for the double pump than an exotic intended for this purpose. There's a strange delay between shots and I don't know why if it's a double pump item, but there's a delay. But I guess so it's not too overpowered, but just make the damage not as much. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm not really too much of a fan of this exotic. At number 2, we have the Eradicator OXR rifle. This rifle is similar with the Hollow Twister, but instead of shooting faster, you do increased damage on each hit you land, which I think is a really cool concept and rewards good aim. Apart from that, it doesn't feel too different from the normal OXR rifles, which is fine. I do enjoy the reward for good aim, so no complaints. I do like these exotics that have rewards for good play or good aim, kind of like the Frostfire and this rifle. They reward good aim and just being good at the game in general, and not a crutch item you can use. At number 1, we have the Eradicator Marksman Wrecker Revolver. Holy mouthful of a name here. Now I put this at number 1 because of just how strong all the variants of this item are. The exotic does not offer a reward or gimmick, but it just has strong damage and increased fire rate. But geez, it feels so good to use. This mixed with the mythic shotgun feels amazing and really does feel like OG double pump at times and feels better than the Double Trouble exotic. I hope you all enjoyed my ranking. If you want to see some more ranking videos, let me know in the comments, and as well as that, let me know your favorite exotics in the comments. And with all that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one, and adios.